You're listening to Airey Bros Radio. Be there or be square, because it's all killer, no filler.
Don't think it's lost on me, bro. Don't think it's lost on me just how fortunate I am. It's not long ago at all. No. 2016, we were training in a place that had insulation falling off the walls. So over the last 18 months or so, I've been a very squeaky wheel. Like, shouldn't that always be the message from a dad? Always be the message. It's like, I feel bad for you that you lost. I'll help you get better from it. But it doesn't change anything emotionally about you or me. They take full advantage of the fact that we love wrestling. Jack, in his infinite wisdom, kind of like peeks his head through the, from the back seat and goes, Dad, it's kind of like just like a Walmart, but for road dogs like us, right? Hey, we got pizza back, dude.
Well, he's got a song called Oklahoma City, so I'm in.
Oklahoma City is
That's the one I sent to you, bro. That's the one I sent to you.
You can't ignore the man in the red glasses for all your life. This is Mike Mal, and you're listening to Airey Brothers Radio. I tell you what, man. Coming here and working with these fucking kids, so much better, Richard. Like, it's just like, it's exponentially less stressful. It's like, I don't know, man. It's hard to explain how much better it is. And like, I get it. It's like ingrained in the culture at Poway. But dude, it was so tough in Central Texas, dude. And I gotta imagine it's the exact same thing in South Carolina.
Yeah. But the good thing is the parents are on board, the administration is on board, they're liking what we're doing. It's just, holiday season as a high school coach is frustrating, especially when you inherit a program and a schedule that you just kind of, again, it falls back on me for not being like, you know what, we're not doing this. We're not going anywhere over Christmas. We're not dealing with kids going away, people being sick, and having to fight the battle of getting kids to come to practice when there was no expectation to come to practice in the past 6 years.
Yeah, culture. That's fun. Can I tell you that, like, this is like the best example I can give of the difference. Jack, when we were in Central Texas, would stay after practice and skip rope and climb rope and just extra. Notice that neither one of you batted an eye at any of that. Can I tell you how crazy people thought he was for doing extra? Like, they thought he was batshit crazy. They're like, why is he still working out? I'm like, Now, first day of practice when I was here in Poway, we have 2 ropes to climb. There was a line after practice of people to climb rope. I think that's the most indicative. That's the only way of like explaining to people. It's just these kids want to work. Ineligibility.
Yeah, it's like, all right.
And I was like, woo!
Yo, can I tell you you're the reason I'm graduating? Because Mike Mal, I tell everyone this, like, Mike Mal rule 101, you can't fail a class if you go to all of them.
That's it. Can't fail a class. They won't let you. No, they won't let you.
Make sure your teachers know you. Go shake their hand. First day of class. Mike Mal 101.
I had some people take that a little bit too literally. And like Scotty would push that theory really far. He would really try and, because he would show up to the classes and then like not do anything else. And I'm like, no, that was like a kind of a barometer, dude. You can't just like put your headphones on and like not do anything in the class. He's like, but you said I get a C. I'm like, you're right. I did say that. It's my fault.
your name came up on Willie's little show, and then also
Did it?
on Boshamania as well.
Really? What did they
With
say? I have no
Chenzo.
idea. No, we can talk about that. I have no interest in being quiet about it. Like, I'm very proud of the fact that I got fired as fuck.
I try to consume as much wrestling content as I can, so when I see a new episode pop up or whatever, I'll listen to it. I'll give them a shot. And it was Chenzo and Bosch, and they were talking, and it just came up that that you were no longer with Flow, and I mean Chenzo didn't seem like he held back. It wasn't worried about putting it out there or even talking about it amongst the two of them. And they had mentioned that Willie had dropped it too, but I couldn't find where he had talked about it. So I was just curious, because I know that part of the deal was you were going out to California, but you were still working with Flo. So
Yeah, here's the thing. I got fired from Flow. Okay. And I'm kind of proud of it. Because while a lot of the other people that have left Flow over the years, and I'm not just talking about Willie, right? A lot of them, like, remember Brock Height? You remember him? I used to do a podcast with him back in the day. Whatever. I remember him going, Mike, if you broke down how much they pay us in hourly wages, it's less than wrestling coaches. Think about what I just said, right? Like, because no wrestling coach ever wants to go, well, how much am I getting paid per hour? Oh, it's like 17 cents an hour. Super great. I'm slave labor. At least as a wrestling coach, you can justify that by saying, well, my team doesn't make any money. So at least I'm giving back to the sport in a way. I'm giving back to the sport that helped me become what I am by passing it along to the next generation. When the company that you're working for is still asking you to work for pennies on the dollar, and they're keeping you away from your family, and they're making money hand over fist, I had a problem with it. So over the last 18 months or so, I've been a very squeaky wheel. I have been I would take meetings with anybody that would listen, and I would tell them that they take advantage of us. They take full advantage of the fact that we love wrestling, and that everybody on that wrestling content team needs a raise. And when you're a company that is trying to sell, like, they're trying to sell actively, like, they want to, like, the people at the top of that organization have no interest at being at the top of that organization, right? Like, Mark Floriani, I don't think he has any interest in being the CEO of Flow Sports at all. I think it's something that he inherited when his brother left, or got fired too, by the way. But that's another story. But I think when you're trying to sell like they are, every single dollar counts. And if you can take someone like me, who is making more than probably everybody else on the content team, and still bitching, like I was bitching and still making the most on the content team, if they can kind of cancel me out, hire 2 more kids right out of college, which is exactly what they did, that can do my job ish for considerably less, they're going to do that. That just looks, when you hand over the profit and loss to Discovery Channel or to Disney or whomever is eventually going to buy Flow Sports, it's just easier to explain away the profit and loss when there's not a Mike Mal that takes up this amount of money, but they can only see me bring in a different and specific amount. Now, that said, I was fighting for everyone on the content team to make more money. And there were people that had the exact same job title as I did that were making the kind of money that I was asking for, but they wouldn't give it to me because they weren't on the wrestling content team. These are people that were strictly shooters, right? So people that were, that had some, some experience in reality TV, and they happen to be good at one particular part of the job, but they were really good at it, right? So like my responsibilities as a content producer for Flow Wrestling was I had to learn how to shoot. I had to learn how to edit. I had to learn how to write articles. I had to learn how to do videos, be in front of the camera. I had to learn how to be a producer. I had to learn how to network with coaches. Well, all those cogs in the wheel are what I thought made me valuable. And they disagreed. They felt as though me talking to the younger kids and everyone else that would listen saying that we were taken advantage of, they didn't think I was that valuable. So I kind of am proud of it, to be honest, man. Like I fought against my own. I knew what was going to happen. Like don't kid yourself. Like this was a long time coming, because I told them eventually the last meeting that I had with Piles and those guys was, look, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that you're not going to get paid what you want. And I said, well, that's fine. Then you get 60% of me. You now get 60%, all those things. So, and that's, they're like, well, you can't not do your job. I'm like, you're right. I can't not do my job. But what I can do is not bend over backwards for you anymore. Right? Like for instance, I was booked to go to Lehigh versus Penn State. Well, we had some stuff, like film stuff, that I was going to add to that trip. So I was going to stay in Lehigh Valley for an extra night or two away from my family, pass the event, get the film stuff done, and then come back like 2 days later. I'm not doing that. Like, why would I do that? They're like, oh, well, it'll save us money. I'm like, cool. Why? No, I'm not doing that. I'll take another trip when I get a chance. Well, that'll cost us double the amount of money. I'm like, it will. You are correct. And so I get why they're like, why they were pissed. I understand. But I feel pretty confident about what I did. And I'm doing just fine. Like I'm not starving. I'll be just fine.
Honestly, Mike, you were the only thing that ever kept my eye on Flow for the past couple years. I've couldn't get down with a lot of their content and would watch because you were on, or because Richie would call me in. And so, yeah, you were the only thing that was kind of keeping my eye on it. And I always thought it was one of those things for the past couple years where it was like, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer type deal, where I felt they knew that they needed to keep you. Because I feel like a Mike Mao out there on YouTube, like you got Stalemates out there, you got Josiah out there. Like you don't want to see Mike Mao out there on YouTube with his own ESPN style show, So I always thought that was like them just kind of holding you in. So I guess going to Poway, you had it that you were still going to work for them, but once you kind of realized that there wasn't any kind of room for advancement, it was like, all right, I'm going to put more of my eggs in this basket.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, it was easy in Central Texas to not focus on the kids as much, right? Because, like, think about you, Jim. One of the things that I always kind of said about you was you could outwork any type of deficiency in your athletic ability. You could outwork any deficiency in your personality, right? Any type of deficiency, a guy like you could outwork. How am I not going to give 100% to a guy like that? How can I not? I just didn't have very many of them in Central Texas. I come out here and I got kids. The only problem that I have with the athletes is that they're overtrained. How do I not give 100% of myself to them? I find it difficult. I find it very difficult. So when you say they don't want a Mike Mal out on YouTube, you might be right. And if I was driven by spite, which I sometimes am.
I was gonna say.
If I was purely driven by spite, yeah, I'd go out and bury him. We can curse, right? I'd take the fucking severance that they gave me, which I haven't fucking touched yet, and just slowly start streaming things.
WWE, when they build people, they make their name, right? So when they go out, they can't use that name. They have to use formerly known as or whatever, because they're that million followers or whatever, they think they own part of that. So like, I do think there is a silver lining to that. Is like, we used to talk about it back in the day. Like, you are a wrestling personality. Like, that was never a thing, dude. Like, there was a couple like Scott Casper and Jason Bryant, like, you know what I mean? Like, those were the wrestling personalities we had. Like, you're on another level of that. So I think, like, regardless, like, they kind of gave you that platform, and now it's like yours to do whatever you want with it. But I definitely see where being in the club and being hands-on all the time is grassroots and where you want to be, and scratches that itch, because that's the most magical place. Like, yeah, it's cool to create content, but shoot, if I had an opportunity to be in a wrestling room and make a living from it, I think we all know, what option we're all taking.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. It's the community here is really what is amazing to me. You know, the second that I got here, they had one of the two of the team moms come in. So when we landed in Poway, we didn't plan it. It was just so rushed that we couldn't plan it perfectly. So we were literally camping in our house for 10 days, right? So what does that mean? I had no furniture. I had nothing, right? So this mom, one of the team moms, comes over with tons of food, air mattresses, blankets, pillows. And I don't know this woman from Adam. And my wife's like, yeah, there's some lady here with a ton of shit. I'm like, let her in. I don't know. So it's and then I talked to the head coach, Myers, that when I got fired. I'm like, yo, I just got fired today. This kind of sucks. It's a little bit weird. I don't know what's going to go on, blah, 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 blah. He's like, we got you. I'm like, I didn't know what that meant at the time. There's a lot of fucking plates that I had spinning at the time, but he's like, yeah, we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. Okay, cool. And they did. And it's I had a job within 5 hours. It's it's amazing, the community around here. It's amazing.
So what is your role? Are you just strictly club coach? Are you coaching the high school team? Are you going to dual meets and tournaments? Or
not allowed to? I'm not allowed to sit in the corner. Some CIF rule, I forget what, because we moved.
I feel like you would put that in the contract, though. I feel like that would be a Mike Val clause.
Yeah, I have no So if we're gonna be honest, I have no real interest in sitting in the corner ever again.
Oh, I know.
I have no interest, and it worked out just fine. That there's some CIF rule that I'm not allowed to sit in the corner. I'm not allowed to coach the high school guys during the season. No problem. No problem. So technically, I think I'm the RTC coach or something like that, but I don't know. I help where I'm needed. How about that?
And so it's a club within the high school facility?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's a pretty impressive facility.
Oh, it's a very impressive facility.
Is that a standalone? Is that attached to the school
Standalone.
property though?
It is. It is. It is. Yeah, we've got a $1 million facility, 3 full competition size mats in the wrestling room, 1 small wrestling room for the freshman sophomore, weight room, office space, kitchen. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's one of the best high school for sure. I mean, it's better than most college rooms I've been in. Most of them, you know. I mean, they're getting pretty fancy now, but up until very recently, this was probably one of the best wrestling facilities in the country.
You've been in quite a few wrestling rooms around the country. Where does it rank? How does it stand? I like looking at.
Well, I mean, what's
said it looks like
the
a
gold
college wrestling
standard
room.
is
14 Pennant Road.
Oh shit. Well, you know it's funny, man. Like, don't think it's lost on me, bro. Don't think it's lost on me just how fortunate I am that we were not long. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Jimmy, was it that long ago?
No.
It was
No.
not long ago at all.
No.
2016,
Yeah.
we were training in a place that had insulation falling off the walls. So it is not lost on me. But I guess the gold standard is Ohio State as of right now. And they have 5 mats, and that's overkill. Like, that to me is like it's overkill. Like, unless you're running camps in there actively every single weekend, it's overkill. I talked to Tom Ryan about it. I'm like, yo, how do you run practice on 5 mats? Knock it off. How do you do that? Just stop. What are you screaming everything? Just stop. They don't use them. They don't use them. So it's a bit much. But that's the gold standard. It's right. I mean, it's a smaller version. It's just as nice. It's just as nice. The only difference is that our kids don't wear shirts when they walk in, not when they walk out. But that's just these kids, they run the place too, by the way. They run the school. They're better than every other team on campus, and they know it. And it's kind of fun to watch, right? It's different than Point Borough. It's different than where I grew up. I'm telling you, way different. These kids run this place.
Is it the equivalent of like a Bergen Catholic or a Blair, or some South Plainfield, something along those lines?
I'd say more South Plainfield, right? Because South Plainfield is a local school still, right? Like, they get the occasional recruits and all, but it's still people that grew up in that area. Okay. Whereas Blair, you got kids coming from all over the place, and there's no, like, their mom and dad and family may not be able to come to every dual meet. Whereas, like, these kids are pot committed. Like, in one way, shape, or form, they have been training together since they were babies. So it's like, it's very similar to South Plainfield, I think.
So fill us in. How does a school in San Diego County get $1 million wrestling room? What is the history there?
Oh, it's a good one.
How long have they been in Dynasty for? Same coaches? What's the deal with that? Fill us in.
Yeah, so Coach Brandstetter was here for 30 something years, and he's the one that built this place for sure. There was this old doctor that lived in the area, not far from here. His name was Dr. I think it was Percy Munday, Munday. And as the story goes, now again, you're catching this story like 15th hand, right? Like, this happened in the 90s. So, or early 2000s, but I think it was the late 90s. So this guy had $1 million that he was going to give to a wrestling program. Now, he wasn't all that discriminative about like which. Like, he was kind of like, it was up in the air. It was either going to go to the University of Missouri, or it was going to go to Poway High School. And I don't know why those were the last two on the list, but they were. And apparently, and again, this you're getting this like third, fifth, seventh hand. Apparently, his wife loved Southern California. So because she loved Southern California, the money went to Poway wrestling as opposed to the University of Missouri. Now, Lee Pritz was at University of Missouri at that time, and he still won't let me live that shit down. Like every time he brings me up, he's like, that should be my facility. I had that guy, and whatever. Which is cool, right? Because like now I'm actually reaping the rewards of this. And we're gonna add on to it too. Like we're fundraising right now to add like a recovery station with sauna and ice bath and all that kind of stuff. We're adding on to it here soon. But yeah, so the story is that this guy dropped a cool mill on Poway High School just because his old lady loved Southern California, as you do. And then Brandstetter retired, and Coach Myers has a huge vision, which is like the coolest part about what we're doing now. It's like, oh no, this is not going to stop with us just being the best on the West Coast. This is going to be like, if a kid wants, so the goal is within the next 10 years to have a legitimate running all levels RTC that is competitive with some of the best colleges in the country, right? So if a kid if he wants to go to college and come back to San Diego and continue to train, we want him to have those opportunities, right? If an athlete like Gable Stevenson, who is still kind of on the fence whether he wants to do the WWE thing full time or he wants to come back or whatever, why not? Because look, let's be honest, right? Like Gable could probably, and I hate to say this because we put so much emphasis on hard work, but he could probably not train for a year and still win the Olympics. He's that good. Like he's that freaking good. So if a guy like that doesn't want to live in Minnesota anymore, he can come here, be on our high school kids for a year, and then go win a world title or an Olympic gold medal. It's things like that. So like there's different avenues that we can kind of go down, but yeah, that's the goal. We want a kid, anybody that wants to train at the highest level that they're able to, we want those kids to train in Poway.
In terms of the success of the program, who are, other than Bobby Lee, and Stevie Lee, who are some notable alumni? What do you got going on now in terms of getting kids into colleges, all across the board, Division III, NAIA, Division I, who's active right now?
Yeah, so right now there's a good chunk of kids at Cal Poly. We got a couple at University of Wisconsin. We got two more going to Wisconsin next year. We got kids all over the place. Jesse Miranda was a Poway alum. And it's not even so much Poway alum that are as impressive as like people that have kind of gravitated towards the program. Stephen Neal's in the room every day. That's crazy to me. That dude's, like people don't realize, like the kids in the room don't realize how great this guy is. Like he's one of the greatest two-sport athletes of all time. It's like it's Bo, Dion, Steve Neal. Like I know that sounds like crazy to say, but is there a better one? I cannot see one.
Him or Carl Hasselrig.
Hasselrig won an NCAA title. He never won a world title.
No, oh, true.
Right? Like Stephen Neal has 1999 world. That's like the whole mundo, right? Like the whole world.
6
like
NCAA
that's a lot.
titles though.
Huh?
6 NCAA titles. That's gotta be
for sure. for sure. That's a lot, but it's a different level than the World Championships, right? So like Carlton Hasselrig is definitely up there, but Stephen Neal has 3 like Super Bowl rings and a world title and 2 NCAA titles.
He
Like
never played it down to football in college.
not one down of football in college because he couldn't, because he wasn't good enough. And then he goes out there and smokes everybody.
He beat Kurt Angle in the NCAAs?
No, he beat Brock. He beat Brock Lesnar.
All right.
Yeah. He beat Brock one year. That was like the year, Brock's first year at an NCAA Division I level. And like everybody was just giving him a world title, or excuse me, a national title. They're just like, look at this guy. He looks like, you know, he looks like a shaved ape. Looks like a Viking. He's just allowed. They were just giving him the world. And Steven put it on him. I mean, it was a close match. It was a close match. But Brock really wasn't that close to scoring ever. Right? Like, Steve Neal is a bad dude. Bad dude. And the nicest person on earth, by the way. Like, he's the nicest human being that you'll ever meet in your entire life. You know, he cooks for us every Thursday night. Right?
Really? That's wild.
Yeah.
Tacos, right?
Anything. So, you know, and I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, yo, this is a world champion. He's 6'5". He's 240 pounds. He's still like imposing, if nothing else. And I'm like, yo, why, coach, why are you cooking for us? Because like, I like to cook. I'm just curious, like, why do you come in on Thursday after practice and like throw all this stuff together, put it in the crock pot? He's like, Mike, wrestling season is tough. And he's like, it gets tougher as it goes on. Like January, February, it's tough. You know, it's not as tough when it's 75 and sunny now, but it's still tough, right? But he goes, when I was in the NFL, when it was tough like that in February, or not so much February. Yeah, I guess it was February, but December, January, when it was like cold in New England, he goes, I used to go into the stadium and there'd be food there. And it would always make us feel better. Like immediately. Like there was just a spread of food and it would always make us feel better. He goes, I figure I could do that for you guys. You know? And so he comes in on Thursdays, puts something in the crock pot, and we eat it on Fridays. The whole coaching staff. And he's like, we're like, oh, this is like just a civility thing. Like he's not, like he has no ego about it. Like he just wants to do it. He just wants to, yeah, it's awesome. He's out of this world. He's one of the nicest human beings alive.
Was he in the area? What's his capacity? Did he just show up? How did because he's not from that area originally, is he?
Yeah, he's from San Diego, right? He's living in Poway. I think he was helping out with a different high school or something like that, but like nobody knew who he was. And he went to San Diego High School. Like he went to a high school that's probably 12 miles from here. And sure enough, you know, Coach Myers is like, yo, is that Stephen Neal? And apparently all it took was him going, hey, you should definitely come coach with us. And he was like, yeah, but I think I'll finish out the season with this team that I'm with. And then that was the end of the conversation. Okay, cool. And then he came and coached with us. And his kids go to school with us. And during COVID, you know, California was crazy. And he opened up his backyard and let us put 2 mats down because we couldn't get into the school to practice. And they built a temporary structure with like scaffolding and shrink wrap around it. And he let us practice in his backyard. The entire, like there's 100 and something kids in this program. Like, so like this is not like a small little, oh, you got 10 kids and they kind of come in once a day. No, these were kids cycling in and out of his backyard
during COVID.
during COVID for a full year and change. Okay. Like they had it down where there was a sign up sheet and like they had to, because there was no parking there's too small of an area. So they had to park at this like church or something like that. And they had to caravan kids through. And you could only have, and like, yeah, that says a tremendous amount about Steve Neal and how awesome he is. And that's wonderful. But we also had to have the graces of his neighbors, right? Like, it's not easy. Like, you just implement 100 new people on your little cul-de-sac, right? Like, that's
during
not
a pandemic in California.
Yeah, during a pandemic, like you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not whatever. So, about halfway through, Coach Myers, knowing full well that like you got to make good with these people, he had all of our kids go do yard work at the neighbors' houses, clean up the leaves and do the lawn and do the edging and everything for a couple weeks, and just to say thank you, because like, dude, they didn't have to like they could have called the cops. We had a fucking tent. We had a circus tent in the backyard of Stephen Neal's house on some tennis courts. We had a full-on circus tent with 3 wrestling mats and just a bunch of, shaved apes walking in and out of this guy's property every day during a pandemic. So yeah, it's a special place, man. And Steve Neal is a big part of it.
Must feel good to be in a place where wrestling's big.
It's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I never thought I'd be in a place like this again, where wrestling is king. It's awesome. It's really cool. It's never, in Edison it was pretty big, but it wasn't South Plainfield big. And then at the club, we kind of lived in our own little world, right? At the college, when you were competing and we were both coaching at the college, it was always no. The answer to every question was immediately no. And then I had to fight for it. Right? And it depended on how much I wanted to fight. Now, what's cool now is whenever me and Myers have an idea, we bring it to the board, and the first answer is yes. And then the second question is how. So that's fine. The answer is always going to be yes. Well, yes, let's do it. But now how? Okay, well, that's a way easier scenario than no. And here's why. Well, okay, fine. We're starting off pretty negatively already. So it's hard to deal with that. But yeah, it's cool to have the yes. Okay, how? I like it. That's the other thing, right? Like, they find people that wrestled and give them cool jobs. Like, dude, there's this one cat. He was so I guess junior colleges are big in California. There's a ton of them though, right?
Yeah.
So this one cat, he's like in the California Wrestling Hall of Fame. He just happens to be living in the area, and he's in his 60s. He teaches like whatever today's version of woodshop is. I don't know. It's like they build houses. They legit build mini houses. They take like storage containers and build them into fucking like awesome houses, awesome. And then sell them for 50 grand and then give the money to the school. It's kind of cool. But he's my son's, they call it like gateway to technology or something. I don't know, whatever it is. And he coaches wrestling at the middle school. And like, he has probably 30 kids on the team. 27 of them are not great. They're first year wrestlers, but that's their introduction. And this is a Hall of Fame coach in California that is teaching a middle school team of all novice. I mean, 99% novice kids. And Jack goes there and he goofs around and has fun with his buddies. But there's like a lot of kids that are being introduced to the sport by not some schmuck that's just looking for a $3,000 paycheck because he's coaching at the middle school level by a guy that was a college coach for X amount of years, made it into the California Wrestling Hall of Fame, and is now, just because he's kind of, I just still want to be part of part of the sport. It's awesome. It's super cool.
So where's the turnaround where you say, like, would you say like 89% is novice at the middle school? So how's it go from middle school? So what is it, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and then you're in high school, and that they're one of the best programs in the state, and they're nationally known. So where's the turnaround?
Well, we have the elite team that we have for middle school kids too, and that's kids from every no. That's not the only practice they go to. No. So we have kids that have been training in this room since they were.
So it is like South Plainfield.
Yes. Yes, and it's very much like South Plainfield in that South Plainfield has a facility. They have they have a standalone facility that's like a rec center, but it's a wrestling room. It's a 4-mat wrestling room, and we deal with the same thing, and we keep people cycling through that place at all hours. Like we have one of the kids on the team, 2 kids really. Their dad was a Greco world medalist for Belarus. So he like his job is personal training. And so he's like dealing with clients and stuff. Sometimes they'll just do body weight stuff on the mat at 10 o'clock at night, pumping Euro trash techno. Like that's just like there's somebody on those mats 24 hours a day. Nah, I'm exaggerating, of course, but darn near.
What kind of size school are we looking at? Are we looking like a group 4 in New Jersey or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's like 5,000 kids. There might be less than that now.
In the high school or high school?
Yeah.
Middle school?
High school.
Jeez.
9293. Sorry.
Okay.
Not 5,000. My fault. Last year it was 2019, 2020. It was 2,293 kids in the school. That's a good amount.
Yeah, that's big. That's group 4 for sure.
That's a pretty big.
What's the system look like? Do they have their easy money? They got their elbow posts, boom, boom, boom. Is there something they're coming into, or are you creating your own thing?
So I was given. So that was actually the first question that I asked when I was offered the job. I'm like, do I get to teach a system that I think is practical in today's wrestling climate? Coach Myers immediately said, teach whatever you want. Okay, cool. So, but what do they do? But I also like I have to take the kids that are like, so before like freestyle season, yeah, we're all gonna be in one room, right? Like I'm coaching them in freestyle. But like for folk style, like it would be helpful if I knew what he wanted, because I'm just coaching the little guys. You know what I mean? So it'd be helpful if like, okay, my kids get into high school and they can now do that stuff. And I think they're really, really heavy on bars and halves. Like they'll just find a bar and a half everywhere. So they're really strong on top, which is not typical in California. Or at least it wasn't for a while. Now it's gotten a lot better. But California was always kind of like super slick, low single, ankle pass, that kind of stuff. But now the best kids in California can ride on top. So we're focusing a lot on top. Yeah, I think by the time my guys get up to the high school, they're going to have a tremendous repertoire of outside step stuff in the neutral position, some really solid fundamental defense, and they're going to be probably more cradle heavy than anything else on top, right? Like we work the shit out of some cradles.
Teaching the Beverly Cradle?
A variation of, yeah. Yeah, we stick mostly to far side stuff though. He was a near side guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that said though, we do sprinkle some of that stuff in. Yeah.
What what does fundraising look like? What sort of stuff? I mean, if like you said, you've got a lot of big time things going on. It's probably a little bit easier to get things going when you have a strong alumni base.
It is. But we did do this one thing that was kind of, I thought it was going to be bullshit. I thought it was going to be, I'm like, nobody's going to do that. We're making a lot of money on this thing called Snap Raise. It's
Yeah.
called Snap Raise. So basically, this company comes in, they shoot like 5 different lines. And Jimmy, you could do this for them with any camera. You could do. They came in with a cell phone. They did it with like no lighting, cell phone camera. They come in. They have a script of like 6 lines, and each kid reads a line. Hi, my name is Jack Malinconico. I'm here for Poway Elite Wrestling. Thank you so much for even opening this email. And then the next kid goes like, well, we're raising money because we need money for this, 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 and this. And then the next kid goes, and it's like, any type of financial blah 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 that you give would go directly towards this. And then the next kid goes. So they all read these lines that are completely scripted, and it's awesome. They read the lines during practice. So there's like practice going on in the background. And then each family is responsible for giving 20 email addresses of friends and families of people that might donate to the program. Dude, we're raising like $15,000 doing this. Like, that's a lot of money, dude. That's money that like we can go take an entire team. They're in Stillwater right now. They're wrestling National Wrestling Hall of Fame right now. So it's stuff like that I was kind of skeptical about. I'm like, oh, that's a good chunk of change, dude. That's a good amount of money.
Is Jack in Stillwater, or is he in high school now?
No,
middle school still? Yeah. Right. So is he the group you're going up with?
Oh yeah, there's some killers.
What's it like for him? Is he has he had a rude awakening, or is he kind of fitting in? Like, yeah.
I think he's fitting in, Jim. I think he's fitting in. I think he's still working really hard. Like, he's really, really into it. And it was a bit of a learning curve at first, but then he started to like beat the kids in the room a little bit, and then they didn't like that at all. And then those kids worked harder, and they just started kicking his dick in every day. And then he worked a little harder. So it's like it's really cool because they are leapfrogging one another. When we first got here, I was nervous, like he'd be frustrated because the kids are, they just have more experience. But then I realized quickly that like we never really coddled him as far as like how, like, I wanted him to lose everything he could, right? Like, so we actively looked for losses. And so he would go with high school juniors last year as a 7th grader, and he would not win a lot of goes. So it wasn't like he so basically the high level juniors in Central Texas are about where our high level 8th graders were here in California. So it was like, really wasn't much of an adjustment at all. And I know that sounds really shitty and you're laughing at it, but
no, I'm laughing at it because I was that junior that was getting the hard go with the 7th graders, bro.
Yeah.
Nick Mandino and Brian Broderick kicking my ass.
Right.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's working out very well. He's really happy with the amount of work that everybody around him puts in. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm happy that he's still into the sport because We get to hang out more. That's about it. You know, it's tough, right? Because like, man, Jack does not want to hear. He doesn't want to hear a lot of the stuff that I'm really truly adamant about. In that, I don't give a shit if he wins a wrestling match. He doesn't want to hear that.
He won't
He wants
understand
me
it
to-
until he gets older, man.
You think so?
Dude, I listen, like I was thinking about it today. Like some of my losses were like the best things that ever happened to me for that point in my life. You know what I mean? Like think about some losses that you had, and it was like what it did for you, or just like not achieving certain things and what it did for you, or just like the pride you have in how you used to cut weight and always make weight, and how that transfers into showing up to work and always, doing your best. I just think it's something you won't appreciate till you're in life and other things are happening and you see the correlation. That's at least what happened for me. Like, and I think it's really hard to be a kid coming up in the sport unless you're like Kale Sanderson level and like not care about losses. You know what I mean? And like even then, like he didn't care about losses because he never lost. So like it's different. It's
Yeah.
way different.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I hope so. I hope you're right.
Yeah, dude.
Because he does not like hearing. And I'll tell anyone that fucking listens, like, I don't give a shit if he ever wins a wrestling match ever. Like genuinely. Because I already got the W. He learned how to work. He's a worker. Like he's a worker. Like he rivaled you. Like you were probably one of the hardest workers I've ever had. He's maybe not now. Last year he put on a pace last year that I was like, God damn, he's gonna hurt himself or something. So he works, Um, so yeah, but he doesn't want to hear that. He didn't want to hear like, I don't care if you win. He like wants me to be as invested in these wins and losses as he is, and I can't, right? Because if I get so happy about the wins, then I got to get equally as angry or upset about the losses, and I just can't do that. It's a mean shit.
I think when you get to a certain point in this sport, right, especially where you are, where it's like, well, you need those losses to see, okay, well, when you're hitting your outside single, this is how you're setting up, and this is why, and you need to be like, I didn't have that understanding of how to break down tape, right? But you actually need that footage of someone stopping your moves or not getting something going, so you can actually learn how to do it right or see. Because if you have someone who's weaker and you can hit a shitty elbow post on them every time, that's not getting you any better. And I think when he can see that correlation, and also like you have to see it too. He's Mike Mal's son, right? Like you might not see that and you might try to, but he's a wrestling guy's son. So there's a lot of pressure that he puts on himself, right? He grew up in the club. He grew up on the mat. He grew up around it. So it's his life. And you know how it is when the sport's your life. And like, it's good to hear that he has a girlfriend because like that's the stuff that I didn't have. And I think like you need that kind of balance in your life. So when you lose, it's like, yeah, go out with your friends and have fun. But I think it just takes time, and I think a lot of it is mental training too.
The understanding of, I think Jimmy and I could both speak to someone who maybe didn't handle us losing in a good way, or teaching us how to learn from it. And I think, maybe when you're saying you don't give a shit that he loses, it's like, I'm here to help you learn from this loss, but it doesn't, whether you win or lose, I'm still going to be your dad. We're still going to go to the club together. We're still going to have fun. We're still going to have these other things in life where, coming from where Jimmy and I came from, if we had a loss or we had a bad race or something, it was like, oh, we're getting the cold shoulder for a week or two, and I think it's having that relationship where it's like, hey, it sucks. I'm sorry that you lost. I know it hurts. But we're going to get better from it. And this is how we get better from it. But like, it's not, you losing or you winning is not going to impact in no way, shape or form, how much I care about you and how much I love you. Like, you're still my boy. You're still my son. and at the end of the day, win or lose, that's all that matters to me.
That should be the fucking norm, though, should it not? Like, is that like I know that like I am thrust into a very unique situation in that I have to kind of continue to coach my son for now because I can't wait to hand him off to Myers. I can't wait. Like I'm not just saying that. Like it's gonna make me so happy to sit in the stands as a dad. It's gonna make me so happy to sit in the stands and not have to be in the corner when he's wrestling. It's gonna make me so happy. But like I understand that like I am in a tricky situation, and if I can simply say to him, and like if I can float in between coach and dad, then anyone can. Like, shouldn't that be always be the message from a dad? Always be the message. Is like, I feel bad for you that you lost. I'll help you get better from it. But it doesn't change anything emotionally about you or me. We still love each other very much. Shouldn't that be the norm? Shouldn't that be the status quo? I mean, we all know that it's in terms that we can't really say. It's not.
Is it still
But it should
bad?
be. Huh?
Is it still bad? Like it hasn't
Getting way
changed at
better.
all?
No, it's getting way better. It's getting
Okay.
way better. Way better. Way better. Because there's professionalism in coaching now. Dads that wrestled JV in high school don't get the chance. Like if they're bonkers crazy like psycho wrestling dad, then they're bonkers crazy psycho wrestling dad enough to bring them to a club with a coach who did wrestle at a fairly high level that goes, get the fuck out of the corner. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, you don't get to sit in the corner here. No. So yeah, it's going away. It's going away. It's getting way better. Way better. Because like think about the best wrestling clubs in the country. Young Guns. You think Jody Strip Matter's letting crazy psycho dads sit in the corner every day? No.
I don't.
I know you gotta be, but like
no, I was just gonna say I've seen it, but maybe not now. But
no, he doesn't. Like it doesn't happen,
yeah.
right? Like you can't do it. Okay, Ben Askren. Askren runs a great wrestling club. Ben Askren is a 3-time NCAA champion that's coaching your kid. What are you gonna say? Oh no, Coach Askren. I think we should do it this way. What? Go away. Right? Think about the guys in Minnesota, right? The guys at Pinnacle. Those guys are killers. You got an Olympic gold medalist, or excuse me, silver, right? Did he silver?
Paul?
Randy Paulson? I think he's
silver. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Olympic silver, and you got Jared Lawrence, who is an NCAA champion. Those are your club coaches. What are you going to tell Jared Lawrence and Brandon Paulson? What are you going to tell them as a dad who is, I was a JV county champ, it's no big deal. So like, what are you going to tell these guys that they don't know? So I think it's going away, especially in like the big wrestling areas. There's a reason that Ben Askren went into club coaching as opposed to high school or college coaching, because there's more money in it. So with more money becomes more professionalism. With more professionalism, there's less of the, child abuse.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but it's called child abuse.
Yeah, So there's a lot of kids that I came up with. I hope they get some ayahuasca ceremonies. That's all I'm gonna say.
A lot of them.
One thing you mentioned though, you said that you're stoked to kind of go sit in the stands, and I just want to make this note to you that you have to realize as a coach, and I know you're his dad, but you have a superpower. Because I say this all the time. Like, you put Mike Mal in my corner, you ain't fucking with me. Like, there's just, you have that superpower, especially with the kids you've worked with. Besides me, I've seen him with other kids that we've coached and stuff, that Mike Mal says that, and that turns it on. So just know that you have a superpower, and he could use you from time to time.
Thank you for saying that. It makes me feel good, but it also makes me feel really. I don't know. It's funny because it's really tricky, Jim. It's really tricky because that is an emotional response that I don't like giving. It truly is, and I'm not just saying. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's this energy between me sitting in the corner and the athlete on the mat that there's this kind of ebb and flow of energy that happens between us. And can I tell you that it is fucking exhausting? It's exhausting to me. That they take, I have to sleep for fucking days now after like these events. Like, if I'm truly invested in an event, like after, like, I didn't tell him this, and I might send you the video that you can splice it in on Instagram. There's a kid that he, on paper, probably shouldn't have beaten at his freestyle state tournament. Okay, this boy was good. He's a good wrestler. Okay, like, he has all these accolades as a young kid and that kind of stuff. And Jack got taken down the first 30 seconds of the match, and the kid was dirty. He was, I mean, just everything was going wrong for about a minute of that match. Everything was going wrong. The kid was, he had an illegal headlock. He took Jack down quickly. It was like everything was going bad. And like the referee didn't call the illegal headlock, by the way. Like, Jack's getting strangled in what's basically an arm triangle. And it wasn't called, which is fine. Like, Brumman's racing. You got to fucking right? But like, everything's going bad. And then I was like, hey, fuck the fuck up. And he's like, okay. And then he goes out there and texts him. So while that sounds like a feel-good story, I was so emotional during that match. And it doesn't come out often, right? It doesn't come out often, but like, there was like this guy, and like, I don't really mean that. He's just a nice boy that was in a wrestling match. But like, there was like this emotional outburst that I had that took me days to recover from. Like, I was exhausted and couldn't sleep. And I was like, it was just, it takes its toll on me. And I appreciate you saying that, but I'm better suited for the wrestling now, because it's too much for me. I can't, like, when you were competing, especially like, even when you were coaching with me, I didn't sleep before those events, like, almost ever. I knew it was time to get out of coaching at the college level when I was able to sleep before events. Yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. It's enough. I'm done.
Well, I could see that though at the college level, and not even so much the going to the match and winning. Like, you got to drive a shuttle van. You know what I mean? You got to worry about that. You got to worry about all the other stuff that goes.
That was the fun part to me, though, man. That really was. You and Corio and Sareva. It was fun to me. I had some of the best conversations of my life on those days.
I just wish I knew back then. I look back at those now, I'm like, oh, that's what made you. Like, those are the days, dog, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you're in it, you're like, oh, yeah. And then you look back and you're like, oh, that's why I have that hustle, or that's why I do that. So in Texas at Flow, right? Get the job at Poway. Has there been? I mean, obviously, you've always been coaching wrestling. That's not something you stop, but you were creating content as well. Is there any kind of itch for that? I know you've been doing stuff. I know you've been getting some interviews. Is Mike Mal got that 50 Cent song, Patiently Waiting? He's got got a paywall getting ready, a Patreon getting ready. What's going on there with the
I think I'm going to
content side of
stick
things?
with. So I just like Instagram. I have a bigger following on Instagram, so it's easier to kind of trade in. I do fine on Instagram. I make a good amount of money on Instagram every month. But they're a part of me that feels a little bit of spite towards Flow Sports and wants to bury them. Yeah, there is. And it's not so much spite. No, it's definitely spite. It's definitely spite. And I'm all right with it because, like,
We're from Jersey. That's where we work best sometimes.
I do. I gotta don't give me a reason, bro. Don't give me a reason. So yeah, is there an itch? Yeah, but like I have to make sure that it's for the right reasons. So I can't go full in right now. I have to let it sit and simmer for a bit.
No, I think as far as like creating content, like you're not Flow. You have a totally different thing than them. Like, do Mike Mal, but like you need to be creating content because like you're the dude that we always used to talk about that wrestling needed. You know what I mean? So I don't even think it would need to be out of spite. Just keep doing you and putting out there what you want to put out there, man.
The other thing is like it's been really awesome being at home with my family. It's been awesome. Like it's been awesome. So there's that too. So it's like there's so many different directions I can go.
Yeah, and I think the maturity of an age and the wisdom and the sage is just it rises above that spite, and you're like you said, you're in a good spot. You get to hang out with Stephen Neal. He cooks you lunch or dinner on Fridays. Like, did it go the way you wanted it to? Maybe not, but you know, you're Mike Mal from Edison. You always land on your feet and come out even better on the other side. So that's just the one thing I've learned as I've gotten older. Is like, yeah, I can hold the grudge, or I can just move on and do me and shine so bright that no matter what I did, they're gonna be like, "Fuck that, we let that one get away."
Yeah, they probably won't ever say that, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. Pretty damn happy.
Let me put this in perspective for you, dude. Remember sitting and Rhino and Velocity, right? And like the dude from like Digital Sports Media coming in and they're interviewing us and us thinking it was cool and like us marking out about like flow videos and like the Edinburgh and Bloomsburg video and like us thinking that was the cool shit. Bro, you just did that for like 5 years, dude. Like I know it's like one of those things that like, yeah, you once you're in it, we get invested in it and we become it and we try to become the best we want at it. But if like you can kind of have some perspective and pull yourself away and take yourself to Mike Mal 2008, 2010 and kind of how you became part of that and like what you did with that, dude. And I know you tell me this all the time. I don't tell you this at all, but I'm proud of you, bro. As like your little brother, dude. Like, and you like tell Richie will tell you. I tell everyone I'm a Mike Mal guy. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's like on your resume. Like you want to hire me as a wrestling coach? Well, I come from the Mike Mal tree.
Nice.
So yeah, just have that perspective, man. I know it's hard and you get caught up in stuff because, you want to do the best you can. And when shit like that happens, of course, you're going to take it personal, but have that perspective, dude. We're all a bunch of kids from Jersey that aren't living in Jersey. We're winning.
That's it. We're winning. We're winning because we got out.
Yep.
We're winning because we got out, And like that's not to say that there's anything wrong with Jersey, but I just can't go there anymore. I just can't go there in my brain anymore. There's a lot of gnarly shit going on there, man. Yeah, I'm happy I'm out. And it's funny because like so many guys, so many like Jersey till the wheels fall off guys called me when they heard that I was moving to Poway. I think I posted this one picture of me and the family in front of like the moving truck or whatever. And the amount of phone calls from Jersey guys that I got just being like, dude, you made it. You made it. You did it.
Manifest destiny, bro.
Yeah, you figured it out. We couldn't figure it out. Some of us could, but you figured it out. And so, yeah, you're 100% right. Now, I appreciate the perspective, man, because it helps. It truly helps. Because every once in a while, you do get caught up in that. I can sit there and stew and like bite down on my mouthpiece and think about how I could, try to crumble a small
That's
empire.
not Mike Mal, though. That's not you, dude. Like, can I tell you, like, one of the first things that really drew me towards you is you never talk shit on anyone.
No.
Like, that's not Mike Mal. That's not, like, you were always a dude when people be popping off. I'd be looking at you smiling. You just smile. You're just like, nah, I don't need to pop off about this person. So, like, that's not you, dude. Being bitter's not you. Like, Mike Mal's always in Mike Mal's lane, and you'll be fine, dog.
Oh, I feel good about it. I feel good about the lane. I just, every once in a while, I think the spite really comes from, oh, I know I can do it better. Right? Like, I know if I could take 12 people and train them, I could do what Flow Sports is doing for wrestling better.
Absolutely. I know you could. I know we could, dude. Like, I think about it. I thought about it all the time last year, like on sets and stuff, and like thinking about correlating and then watching like Flow broadcasts. And I think that's the other thing about Flow is just I feel like they never updated their site as like times progress. Like, you're charging $20 a month. They're charging $9.99 on Peacock for the WWE Network, and I get all this. You know what I mean? It was like always that. Like, you need to change your kit and your format up, and I don't think they ever did that.
But again, that goes back to them wanting to sell, right? They have to show the shoestring budget plus big dividends and returns, right? Like, they're making this much and they're only spending this much, right? Whereas as soon as they sell, like, let's say ESPN comes in and buys Flow Sports tomorrow, their production budget is going to probably quadruple.
Yeah.
I mean, quadruple might be a bit much, but it's going to more than double. It's going to more than double. So I get it. I get what they're doing. They're just trying to sell. But that is, like, here in the meantime, until they do, as consumers now, it's not the best product. It's not the best. It's certainly not the best product it could be. It's the best product that we've had in wrestling. It's not the best that it could be. It's not. Like, our sport deserves more.
No, and you know what though? We accept the shit. That's the thing. Like, I was talking to Rich about this the other day about I guess like Rockfin had some duels or whatever, and I remember like we were trying to watch it last year, and it was like a streaming camera. It was like one angle, and it was like 50 feet away from the mat, and like you got to pay for pay-per-view, and we accept that shit. Like, and I think going to school and learning the production side of things, like I become a snob on that things, and you're more aware. But I think the average person is just happy to, oh my God, we get to watch wrestling. I don't have to tape trade.
Bro, tape trade. That's where we were. And it wasn't that long ago, Jen.
How was the ESPN coverage of the Cal Poly that you did? And also, what does Instagram subscription? I see you posting it. What do I get when I subscribe?
Yo, so what's funny about that is and this is me knowing full well that those wheels were turning a long time ago. So I started posting my lesson plans for my practices, and I didn't realize how much value that had. And because what's cool, and when I, what I think is cool about it is, like, we have this awesome interactive community of subscribers that I talk to on a fairly regular basis, not like every day, but a fairly regular basis, and say, okay, listen, here's my chicken scratch of lessons plans. What do you have questions about? Also, I need help with this. Can you help me here? Because I suck at this. I can't figure out a way to get a kid from their knees to their feet from the bottom position without the guy locking hands. I can't do it. I need help. And so I'll ask for help in certain regards. But it simply started as me posting pictures of my lesson plans. This is what we're working on tonight. This is what we're working on tomorrow night. And every night I would post a picture of my lesson plans for the night. And then it kind of grew, right? And it was like, oh, I've got a bunch of subscribers. That's pretty cool. And it is. And then I started putting some stuff behind the paywall as far as technique goes, and then as far as interviews go. And so right now, the base is $5 a month, and you're going to get, every time I go to practice, 3 days a week, because the fourth day is live night. Jimmy, you know the deal. Thursdays are live. Okay. 3 nights a week, we have a full-on lesson plan. Like, I will give you everything from what we're doing in our warm-ups, meaning we do a lot of OODA loop stuff in warm-ups. Like, I'll throw a kid a ball as they're warming up and say, what's 3 times 3? And if they don't give me the right answer, they're doing burpees. So we have to kind of like break a lot of this stuff down. And so it's not just technique, it's more structure of like, and the ebb and the flow of a high school wrestling season, as opposed to just like, hey, I'm teaching high crotch tonight. So it's a lot that goes into it. And then some types of interviews stay behind the paywall, and then some technique videos stay behind the paywall. And what was the first question you had? I'm sorry.
You did a color commentary for one of Cal Poly matches, right?
Yeah, it was cool, man. SLO kind of rules. I kind of love it up there. It's kind of
Slow's pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty nice. But yeah, it was great. It was, it's kind of cool getting to see guys like Chris Chunoma, who is probably one of the best assistant coaches around the country that nobody knows is the best assistant coach around the country. Seeing him have some success at Cal Poly as well, it's awesome, man. It's really, really cool. No, I love doing the commentary there. I'll do it as long as they'll have me.
Nice.
Is it just Cal Poly? You have other schools in Cali that you're working with, or just them?
Yeah, Cal Baptist wants me to do theirs. We're working that stuff out here soon. I don't know that that's a done deal right now, but yeah, it's Cal Poly for now. And then Cal Baptist is like literally an hour and a half for me. But it's easy. Like, even getting up to San Luis Obispo is 5 hours, dude. I hang out with my kid. We travel along the 101. It's like the most scenic route in the world. Like,
listen to Social D.
Yeah, we listen to Social D. We listen to, put Sublime on. It's good. Life is good.
Have you ventured over to Encinitas or Carlsbad or Oceanside yet?
So Oceanside a little bit. That's an interesting place.
That's my spot, dog. That's where I lived.
Seems like it. Yeah. Yeah. No, a little bit, but yeah.
Moonlight Beach.
Huh?
You go to Moonlight Beach yet?
No, not yet. We're bougie, bro. We go to Del Mar.
I saw that, man.
Okay.
I was like, you got to get up to Carlsbad.
No, we're bougie. We prefer to pay $400 for dinner. Jeez and crow. Jeez and crow. It was her birthday, and I'm like, did I break something? I broke something, right? I had to break something. It was brutal. $400 for dinner.
Yeah, but I think Gucci was the one who told, or I don't know if it was Gucci or Rich heard, or maybe it was Gucci told me you were moving. Yeah, Gucci told me you were moving, but Rich told me about like flow and everything. But when Gucci told me you were going to Poway, I was like, that MFer. I was like, that son of a bitch.
No, but like, I got room. Come through. Like, I'm not married.
Have you been to Julian yet?
No, what's that?
So like that's where
Gotta go to the bakery.
Yeah, you gotta go get your apple pie. That's like the apple orchard type deal up there.
Okay.
It's like the mountains. I don't know if it's by Poway Mountain or something because like there's Palomar Mountain or something. It's like
Sure.
over that way or whatever. But check out.
I loved Central Texas for a lot of different reasons. I really did. But their bread sucked. Their bread sucked so bad. I found bakeries around here that are damn close to the East Coast. They're damn close. Now there's a couple. So I had my old man out, and I got him pizza, and he said it's passable, which did not exist in Central Texas. Like you couldn't get a passable slice of pizza. That's not even close. The same thing, I'm sure, Richie, that you're dealing with in South Carolina. There's just not passable pizza.
No, I asked the kids. First day of school, first week of school, getting to know everyone or whatever, and I'm like, "So where's the best place to get pizza around here?" And I got kids saying Little Caesars. I'm like, "Yo,
Yeah.
I'm like no franchises. That's your first mistake."
So there's actually a place here called Buongiorno's that's pretty damn good. It's like, and like I haven't even ventured. So here's the thing, right? So when Jack and I are big pizza snobs. Like the girls they'll eat fucking Domino's if you put it in front of them, right? But Jack and I are pizza snobs. And the first time we just happened to like Google and like Yelp review a bunch of these pizza places around the area. And this one spot had the best reviews. So we got pizza from there the first week we were in town. And it was so good that Jack and I literally like started to well up with tears. Like we got our pizza back. Like we got pizza back, dude. You know, and so I've heard that there are places like 15 minutes away that are just as like that are better, but I don't want to mess with it because like I'm so happy about having a legit place to have pizza. And even my dad, who is still as Jersey as it comes, came out and was like, all right, this is pretty good. It's not bad, you know. Whereas when we were in Texas, it was abysmal. It was terrible. So
You gotta look up Pizza Port.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Pizza Port?
What's
in
that?
Oceanside.
There's one in Oceanside and there's one in San Marcos or Carlsbad. No, I think it's in San
There's
Marcos.
also like killer.
It's a
pizza
brewery
food.
and a pizza place.
Pizza Port, Port, yeah.
Rich,
Yeah.
I think that's the place from Toy Story movie. I think it's called Killer Pizza from Mars.
No, there's a place called Pizza Port. There's one in
You tell
the
me
original
that-
one is in Carlsbad, and then they made a second location, which is it's either in San Marcos or Santa Leo.
You guys are too local. You just need to come back over here, bro.
Dude. Get rid of
just need to
half
come
the
back.
population, though. That's the only thing, dude. And you guys don't get like sun till like 2:00, man, in the summer. That's
It's
something
about
else,
11.
dude.
It's about 11.
Don't lie to me, bro.
No,
I was there for
no,
2.5 years. That marine
No,
layer.
it's about 11.
It's like 2:30, dude.
No.
Yes, it is.
No,
It
it's
was like
not.
it was like afternoon practice at 10th Planet. It was like you go in and be foggy and cloudy, and then you come out and the sun be out.
Nah, dude. No,
June-
11 o'clock, bro. Come on. Come down by the fucking beach. Will you please?
June gloom,
May gray and June gloom. Yeah, I guess they don't have the one in San Marcos anymore. It looks like it's Solana Beach. There's two in Carlsbad. There's one in San Clemente. There's one in Ocean Beach, Bressie Ranch. Maybe that's the one I was talking about in Bressie Ranch, Carlsbad.
Okay. Pizza Port.
Yeah, it's like a brew pub.
I like it. I'm into it. I will
So-
check it out. Now that our kids can stay home alone, I have time with the wife. It's good.
Dude, you also got to check out from the Cardiff Seaside Market. You got to get some Cardiff craft. It's a tri-tip. It's like this tri-tip mix that they do. It's like all the cool hipster kids are all about it.
Okay.
So that's like a town on the 101 by like Encinitas.
So when I was in Jersey, and I think I remember you coming through for a couple barbecues, Jim,
Yeah.
where you would bring that smoked turkey.
Yeah, from the German butcher.
Yeah, from the German butcher down in Lacey or some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I would do a lot of smoked meats in Jersey, but then I moved to Central Texas and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I can go anywhere, and they do it better. Like anywhere. And they just do it better. That has not been my experience out here.
It's not good barbecue out there.
No, the barbecue is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I'm in the market for a Traeger or the green egg or something like that. So I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. But man, I'm really starting to. All right, let me because you know how much I love to cook.
Yeah.
I might start getting into like barbecue again, like legit get into barbecue. So I think that's the next step because it was so good in Central Texas, you know, and we didn't have it often, right? Like how many times a month can you put yourself in a fucking food coma, right? Like, cause it was bad, dude. Like I'd eat till I got sick. But like here, it's terrible. I mean, it's not good. The brisket's dry. I could do the. I mean, everybody knows about the tri-tip here. Like it's good, but it's not the same as like smoking brisket, you know?
Yeah. Hey, when you were in Central Texas, did you happen to ever come in contact with a Buc-ee's?
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
Dude, it's the best. So I got a funny Bucky story. Like my son and I love taking my son on the road with me. I really do. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And like he loves coming on the road with me. So during COVID, I don't know if you guys know this, but COVID flew right over Texas. It just missed us completely. So no problems with COVID
Lucky
for us.
you. I lost a roommate.
But you see, like, so it's as funny as it sounds. Like, it's like, what did we do for 2 years? You guys are fucking stupid. Anyway, a couple of my former athletes realized that I was in Texas and I could train, and they couldn't, so they came down. And Joseph Zargo was one of them, right? So Joseph Zargo and I pile in a car with Jack and start driving from Central Texas up to Tulsa. We were going over to Guerrero's spot. They had a bunch of senior level athletes training. And we stop. Well, we're fixing to stop off at this Buc-ee's. And like I'm trying to explain what Buc-ee's is to Joseph. He's like, so it's like a Wawa? I'm like, sort of, I guess. But take that Wawa and like explode it into like, I don't know, like a swap meet and a flea market and also
Barbecue.
and some of the best barbecue, right? And also 300 gas pumps. And also, if you want to buy like lawn furniture, you could buy it there. You know, so it's like it's everything. And then I'm trying to explain this to him, and he's Jack, in his infinite wisdom, kind of like peeks his head through the, you know, from the back seat and goes, "Dad, it's kind of like just like a Walmart, but for road dogs like us, right?" I'm like, "Yes, son. Yes, that is correct. That is."
I'm in.
It's
You are
amazing.
spot on.
Mike, you still a coffee drinker?
I am, man. Just espresso though.
Just how do you brew it? You have your own fancy little machine?
I have an espresso machine that is probably only like a $300 machine, but I keep it pretty well maintained. And Jack enjoys espresso every morning, so we run through a bunch of espresso in the morning. He is a bougie espresso drinker as well.
Do you drink it when he cuts weight?
He does, yeah.
I wish I had caffeine in coffee back in the day. Like I remember, like first time I started drinking coffee, I'm like, oh, this probably would help cut weight.
Oh, this is way better. This is like way better. Yeah, so it's funny. His first foray into a real weight cut was October. And we did the meal prep thing. We did it as a family, and it was kind of cool. And he, if it were up to him, I think he'd do it more often. But I asked him politely to go up in weight class. You know, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you keep pulling yourself down? Like, what? He's like, yeah, but I feel good there. I'm like, I understand that, but like, I don't know, dude. Like, just go up. Like, what do you care? Like, so he wrestled 125 in October. He wrestled 142 slash one. They had to combine the weights this past weekend, so it was like 142 slash 158 this past weekend. So you do the math. He's gaining quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, that shit'll stunt your growth.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, what are we talking about? Like, why are you doing that?
You getting any beans from anywhere? You got any special select roast or anything you're rocking when you're doing your espressos?
No, so I really so I did for a little bit. Like, I did like the Lavazza from Italy. But I've found that the local stuff that I can get at my Stater Brothers is just as good. And I'll grind the beans. I had never had a problem grinding beans at the house. So it's like, you know, and like it's I'll be honest with you, the one thing that has really improved the most since I'm not working for Flow is the entire house's nutrition. Like so now, because I'm so connected to, like, I don't have to be stuck in my office all day. A lot of the stuff that I do now for coaching has to do with paperwork and stuff like that, but I can kind of do a lot of it on my phone and stuff like that. It's pretty easy, right? I like, okay, kids, you're going to have a legit meal for breakfast. Like, you're not having fucking cereal, dude. Like, I'm not giving you fucking sugar ass cereal. Like, we're gonna have eggs, and we're gonna have bacon, and we're gonna have toast. It's, you know, you're gonna have protein, carbs, and fat with every single meal. And then there's also like, oh, well, we have a shit ton of celery left. So instead of the kids coming home and having a Cliff Bar after they get home from school, I will simply put out chopped up celery sticks and peanut butter. And lo and behold, they're gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like little stuff like that where I just have a half an hour to do it. It's nice, you know? So yeah, the biggest improvement in my life since getting fired from Flow has been the nutrition of my family. Like, it's been like, I can now pick and choose. Like, so for instance, we have, like, for whatever reason, celery is sticking out in my head. Like, we have so much leftover celery right now that I had to make gumbo. So like, all right, I'll go buy andouille sausage, but I had to use the celery. You know what I'm saying? So it's been good.
Mike, you have any daily practices or rituals that you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of yourself?
Yes, vegetables in the morning. Vegetables in the morning help me so much. I don't know why. I know that there's like this anti-vegetable thing going on with the carnivore diet and stuff like that, and that's fine, but a tremendous amount of spinach in the morning really helps for me.
Just like
You eating it?
handfuls?
You making smoothies? What are you doing with it?
Bro, I'm so basic that I just throw as much as I can into like one of those little travel blenders. And like, I have like, so my family thinks they like bananas. They really don't. They don't like bananas. They think they do. But so what I do is I wait till they turn brown and no one's gonna eat them. And then I chop them up, put them in the freezer. And I'll put like 2 hunks of banana in with the celery, and I'll just blend the shit out of it. And it's 32 ounces, and I slug it down every morning.
You putting water in there? Milk? What do you
Just
got?
water. No,
Water?
It's not anything for the taste, dude. Like it tastes like I'll throw a little bit of lime in there every once in a while and just tastes like the shittiest pina colada of all time. But it's just to get as much like that's after a fast, right? Because you're sleeping for 6 hours, hopefully. That as a base in my stomach, I feel a lot better. And then there's breathing exercises in the morning as well.
Are you doing that like before coffee?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. As a matter of fact, the more I can wait on the coffee, the better I feel. The better I feel. My wife, I'm trying my best to like explain to her, like, you don't need the coffee the second you wake up. Because that's the first thing she says to me every morning. Can you make coffee, please? And she's so appreciative when I do, and that's wonderful. But I'm like, yo, if you just hold off for an hour, you'd be so surprised at how much better you feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Andrew Huberman 101.
That's what they're saying, right? Like, because there's some type of receptors that bind to the caffeine that if you, as soon as you wake up, that's why you hit that big lull at noon, right?
He says like 60 to 90 minutes hold off.
Yeah. And like, I'm trying to get my wife to do 30 at first. And it's not easy, right? Like, she's such a junkie for it right away. You know what I mean? Like, and it does make her feel good right away. Right. But she inevitably hits that wall at fucking noon.
Yeah, I've tried like waiting. And I know they'll tell you not to, drink coffee before you meditate, but it actually helps me concentrate. Like I feel like when
Well, that's because your ADHD is fucked.
I just like feel like I'm all over the place, but if I, drink coffee before I meditate, I feel like I get more out of it.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that. But so I do 3 rounds of meditation. The first one is a want, right? So I like you allow your base fucking brain to go, okay, what do we want? And then the second round is honing it in. Like, okay, don't allow your brain to go out and do whatever it wants. Hone it in on the second round. And then the third round is absolutely nothing. Like, try your best to really focus on nothing at all, right? Just clear your brain completely. That's the best version of meditation that I found, right? So just kind of allow yourself in the first round of meditation, whether it be 3 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever, allow your brain to go wherever it wants, because it's going to go off in weird fucking directions, right? With less stimuli. And then the second one is like, all right, let's hone it in a little bit. Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And then the third one is just try your best to have a blank slate. And that's fucking tough, right? That's, man.
Easier said than done.
Dude, it's not easy, bro.
No.
It's not easy. But it's fun.
What are you listening to right now, music-wise?
Zach fucking Bryan.
Yo, I love him. Richie's like, no, that's pop country.
Not pop country. Don't you sully the name of fucking Zach Bryan.
Yo, what's what my favorite song? Oh, there's a
Morgan Wallen. You like Morgan Wallen?
No.
Cold. Is it Cold Vampires or Damn Vampires? I love that song. And Oklahoma Smoke Show.
Oklahoma Smoke Show.
That's great.
One of the best fucking country songs of all time.
I love that song.
Yo, so how about this? How about this, Richie Rich? You ready for this?
Lay on me, dog.
All right. Zach Bryan, and again, this is probably 12th string information that you're getting here, so take it for fucking what it's worth. But Zach Bryan was full on in the Navy up until 2021. Okay. and he starts doing during COVID, just has a bullshit iPhone camera on him, and he's playing his songs that he wrote, and they're starting to do well. Okay. He gets a call from a record company, and they're going to give him a big old advance to go make an album. This cat takes the advance, and instead of renting studio time, instead of renting a band, instead of doing anything that you're supposed to do, he takes like 6 of his buddies and buys it, or rents an Airbnb up in the woods of Washington. Makes a studio in the Airbnb with a bunch of mattresses around the fucking doors. Comes back with 32 fucking songs. 32 songs on one album. And used probably a quarter of what the record company gave him. And those 32 songs are on American Heartbreak. And it might be the best written album in the last 2 decades. It might be the best written album. Lyric for lyric, it might be the best 32 songs on one album in the last 20 years.
Well, he's got a song called Oklahoma City, so I'm in.
Oklahoma City is
That's the one I sent to you, bro. That's the
Bro,
one I sent to you.
You can't ignore the man in the red glasses for all your life.
I don't ignore him all the time.
Yeah.
I take.
Yeah. Let's just say this. He started his program. He calls Mike Mal and Brian. And he's like, oh, it told me the same thing you told me. I was like, yeah, what do you think? Same guy
Zach Bryan's the motherfucker, dude. He's the dude. Tyler Childers is pretty awesome, right? But Zach Bryan he speaks to the so Tyler's went real gospel not too long ago, and he's the worst part about it is he's making bangers, and like here I am driving up the 5 screaming Jesus songs out of my
Let's go.
It's good. It's really good though. It's really good. It's really good stuff. But yeah, Zach Bryan's the dude right now. He's the dude. And he went from what I described, right? Like he literally had his first, I believe, his first video on YouTube was Going South, and it was literally a cell phone camera propped up in a truck bed and him playing by himself on his guitar on a song that he wrote called Going South, and it's an amazing song. He went from that to selling out Petco Stadium here in San Diego. He sold it out 2 nights in a row. That's where the Padres play, and that's in 3 years. So anybody that's saying like, "Oh, music is dead," no. This is the best time for music in history.
Wow. I'll cue that up on the way to the tournament tomorrow.
Crooked Teeth is a good one too.
So, Mike, I think the last time we had you on, we were, like Jimmy said, COVID didn't treat everyone as well as it did as the folks in Texas. We parted ways, and I'm in South Carolina now, so we asked you the last time if you had a favorite conspiracy theory. We've gotten away from that. It's not fun anymore, and it's just kind of worn me out. So our new question to end this episode is, do you have a guilty pleasure?
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, I do. It's TikTok. God damn it, it's TikTok. It's TikTok. Yeah. Dude, I feel douchey. Like, how about this?
One.
I know it's a guilty pleasure because when I only indulge probably for like 15 minutes a day, but if I am on TikTok in my room by myself and someone walks in, I immediately close the app as if I'm doing something wrong.
Watching porn.
That's how I know it's a fucking guilty pleasure. You know, like I'm just like, nothing, totally nothing. Totally not watching dancing teenagers. Totally not at all. You know. So yeah, TikTok is probably my guilty pleasure. And if I'm going to be honest, I get probably 70% recipes there. like almost all of my feed is just fucking recipes for like old dudes like me. So, and there's the occasional dancing girl. They don't hurt.
All right. We don't judge here. You're in the trust tree.
Yeah, bro. Katy Perry's my guilty pleasure, so it's all good.
Yeah. So that's
Bro, you put Roar on, I'ma cry. Like 100%, I'ma cry every time.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I've gotten real soft with my musical taste, like the last 15 years because like
You have a daughter?
my daughter will play Roar or like a different Katy Perry song. I'm like, this is empowering. This is so good.
For real, dude.
Go girls, you know.